Listen, if you thought the Blueface saga had finally exhaled, if you thought the war between Chrisean Rock and Jaidyn Alexis had finally cooled off long enough for these people to raise their children in peace, then you have not been paying attention. Because what happened on that Kick livestream is not just another installment of the never-ending Blueface reality show. This is the moment the whole facade cracked open on camera in front of 44,000 pairs of eyes. And once you see what I saw, once you hear what I heard, you are not going to be able to unsee it. So sit down, get comfortable, because I am about to walk you through the most unhinged 48-hour meltdown in modern celebrity blog history. And by the end of this, you are going to understand exactly why the internet is calling this the day Chrisean Rock officially lost the plot on livestream. Blueface pressed record. The camera was rolling. And what followed was not content. It was a confession. A full-blown televised confession that the Blueface, Chrisean Rock, Jaidyn Alexis triangle has been running on fumes for months and finally ran out of gas in real time on the world's most volatile streaming platform. Let us rewind a beat. Because you cannot understand the volcanic eruption that happened on this stream unless you understand what came before it. Blueface has been out of prison for a hot minute now, and the moment he stepped foot back into the real world, the drama did not just pick up where it left off. It escalated. Because Blueface is not just a rapper anymore. Blueface is a full-blown reality architect, and every single move he makes is engineered to detonate on the timeline. Chrisean Rock, meanwhile, has spent the last several months publicly oscillating between claiming she is done with Blueface forever and turning up on his location at 3 in the morning. Jaidyn Alexis, the mother of Blueface's 2 other children, has been trying to keep her head above water while raising her babies in a war zone she did not build. And the entire time, the community has been watching, tallying up receipts, and waiting for the moment the whole triangle would combust. That moment arrived on Kick, and it arrived louder, uglier, and more damaging than any of us could have prepared for. Here is what happened, and I need you to hear me clearly, because there are people out here trying to spin this like it was a misunderstanding. It was not. Blueface went live on his Kick stream. Jaidyn Alexis was there with him. They were getting ready to head to a baby shower. She looked incredible. Full glam, hair laid, outfit crisp, ready to step into a family event as the woman standing next to Blueface. And within minutes, everything went sideways. Because there was a knock at the door. And when I tell you what happened after that door opened, you are going to need to sit down, because it is the kind of thing you cannot make up if you tried. Nobody in that stream chat was prepared. Nobody watching from home was prepared. And most importantly, Jaidyn Alexis herself was not prepared, because Blueface had spent the previous 10 minutes actively working to make sure she would not be prepared. Let me back up further. Because the tension leading into that knock had already been simmering for hours. Blueface had rolled up to the house that morning after allegedly spending the night out. His story was that he had fallen asleep in the car, in his homie's car, at 4 in the morning, after a night of shooting dice at 7-Eleven. Understand this. He was telling this to Jaidyn Alexis. Jaidyn Alexis, who was pregnant, who had been waiting on him, who is not the one you want to try to run a bedtime story on. And Blueface, being Blueface, doubled down on it. He said he was at 7-Eleven with the homies. He said the Range Rover was outside, so he could not have driven anywhere. He said the whole night was innocent. And Jaidyn Alexis, to her credit, did not swing at him. She did not scream. She just laughed. That kind of laugh. The laugh a woman does when she already knows the whole story is a lie, but she is willing to sit through the performance out of curiosity to see how far he will take it. Because at this point in her life, Jaidyn Alexis has heard every excuse Blueface can invent, and she is collecting the receipts in real time. But Jaidyn Alexis is not stupid. She is one of the sharpest women in that entire orbit. And while she was laughing on camera, she was also making a mental note of every timestamp, every detail, every inconsistency in the story. And then the knock came. And Blueface, who had been running his mouth about mailmen and packages for the last 30 seconds, tried to gaslight her into believing the person at the door was the postman. On a live stream, with 44,000 people watching, trying to tell his pregnant fiancée that the person knocking was USPS. That was the moment Jaidyn Alexis knew. Because women know. And I do not care how many rappers try to pretend otherwise. When a woman feels the shift in the room, no amount of denial can override her instincts. Jaidyn Alexis felt it immediately. She said, "Open the door." Blueface refused. She said, "Open the door again." He refused. She said it a third time. And the third time is when Blueface finally caved, because he understood that if he did not open that door himself, Jaidyn Alexis was going to open it for him. And whatever was on the other side was going to become a permanent part of internet history. So he made the choice most cowards make in that situation. He chose the version of the disaster where he still looked like he had some control. He opened it. Chrisean Rock walked in. Let me let that sit for a moment. Chrisean Rock. in the flesh, on Blueface Kickstream, at the same house where Jaidyn Alexis was getting dressed for a baby shower, wearing an outfit so eerily similar to what Blueface was wearing that the internet immediately started asking whether she had come from wherever he had been the night before. And I am going to tell you what everyone in that stream chat was already thinking. Because if you look at the timing, if you look at the clothes, if you look at the way Chrisean Rock walked in like she already knew the layout of the house, the only conclusion any reasonable person can draw is that she had been there before. Recently. Very recently. Possibly hours ago. Possibly that same morning. Possibly during the exact window of time Blueface claimed he was asleep in a homie's car outside a 7-Eleven playing dice, like a teenager pretending to have a curfew. Jaidyn Alexis clocked it immediately. She did not scream. She did not swing. What she did was more dangerous than any of that. She got quiet. And when Jaidyn Alexis gets quiet, the whole room should get worried, because that is not the silence of surrender. That is the silence of a woman calculating exactly how much she is willing to lose and exactly how much she is willing to take from the person who put her in this position. She looked at Blueface. She looked at Chrisean Rock. She looked at the camera. And then she said the line that broke the entire live stream open. She said, "You being disrespectful?" 6 words. 6 words that hit like a court summons. 6 words that told everybody in that room that whatever fantasy Blueface had been building for the last 8 months was over. Chrisean Rock, meanwhile, was doing the thing Chrisean Rock always does when she is caught. She started laughing. Nervous laughter. Fake laughter. The kind of laugh a person deploys when they are trying to convince the room that a serious situation is actually a joke so that everyone else will lower their guard and let the moment pass. But Jaidyn Alexis was not lowering her guard. She was not lowering anything. She turned to Chrisean Rock and said, "This is not a game. This is not funny. This is not content." And here is where Chrisean Rock made her first fatal mistake of the day. She kept laughing. Because at that point she had already made the calculation that if she could reframe the ambush as comedy, she could survive the moment without losing her footing. What she did not calculate was that Jaidyn Alexis was in no mood to be a punchline. Not that day. Not on that stream. Not with those cameras rolling. Not with a baby shower waiting on the other side of that front door. So here is what happened next, and I want you to prepare yourself, because this is the part of the story that everyone is talking about right now, and it is the part that has completely obliterated whatever redemption arc Chrisean Rock thought she was building. Jaidyn Alexis, still processing what she was watching, walked into the kitchen. Chrisean Rock followed her. And when Chrisean Rock followed her into the kitchen, Chrisean Rock picked up a knife. Understand what I just said. Chrisean Rock, visibly pregnant, on a live stream, in another woman's house, picked up a knife and started making threats. She said she would go to jail. She said she would slice somebody up. She said she did not care about the consequences. She said her mama would have to bail her out. She said all of this while Jaidyn Alexis, also pregnant, stood a few feet away trying to figure out whether the mother of her partner's children was about to attempt something that could not be undone. And Jaidyn Alexis, in the middle of all this, said the words that turned this from a scandal into a lesson. She said, "Can you put the knife down?" Chrisean Rock said no. She said, "I do not trust you." She said, "I do not trust any of you." She said, "I am pregnant, so I have to defend myself. And if defending myself means stabbing somebody, then that is what I am going to do." You cannot script that. Nobody could invent this. If a screenwriter turned this scene in as a pilot episode of a scripted drama, the network would kick it back and say it was too unrealistic. But here we are, on Kick, with 44,000 concurrent viewers, watching Chrisean Rock, mother of one, pregnant with another, holding a knife in Blueface kitchen while Jaidyn Alexis tried to talk her down. And the whole time, Blueface was pacing around the background trying to figure out how to end the stream without making the whole thing look even worse than it already looked. Because he understood what everyone watching understood. The moment that stream ended, the internet was going to spend the next 72 hours dissecting every second of it. Frame by frame, word by word, breath by breath. And there was nothing Blueface could do to stop it, because he was the one who had pressed record in the first place. Now, let me tell you what Jaidyn Alexis did next, because this is the moment she stopped being the wronged fiancé and became the emotional protagonist of the entire situation. She did not fight. She did not scream. She did not throw glass. She picked up her phone, and she called the police. On the stream. In real time. With Chrisean Rock still holding the knife. She said, "If you are not going to leave, then the police are going to make you leave, and this is going to become a matter of public record in a way that neither of you are going to enjoy." Chrisean Rock did not put the knife down. But Chrisean Rock did start to visibly panic. Because Chrisean Rock understood, in that moment, that Jaidyn Alexis was not playing. Jaidyn Alexis was not bluffing. Jaidyn Alexis was not going to let this end quietly for the sake of the brand. Jaidyn Alexis was going to burn the whole thing down if that was what it took to protect her family. And once Chrisean Rock heard that phone connect, once she heard Jaidyn Alexis actually start giving the operator an address, the entire dynamic of that kitchen shifted permanently. And this is where the story takes its darkest turn. Because Chrisean Rock, backed into a corner, started to unravel on camera in a way that has never been captured before. She started sobbing. She started shaking. She said she had no heart. She said she did not care what happened. She said she was ready to end the stream and disappear. She said Blueface had gone back to somebody else that morning. She said the timing was too perfect for it to be a coincidence. She said the woman at the door knew where she lived and knew what time to knock. She said all of this while still holding the knife. And Blueface, watching his entire brand melt down in real time, kept saying, "Let us just end the stream. Let us just end it. Let us just cut. Let us just go." He kept trying to redirect the audience toward the sub-goal. He kept trying to reframe the moment as content. He kept telling the chat to sub up. He kept telling them if the sub-goal did not get hit, he was going to end the stream so no one looked crazy. But nobody was subbing up. Because nobody wanted to be responsible for extending a moment that everyone watching understood should never have been broadcast in the first place. The chat was frozen. The chat was watching a car crash in slow motion. The chat was screaming for Blueface to cut the feed, and Blueface was too busy trying to reframe the crash as a marketing opportunity. Fast forward through the tears, the threats, the knife, the phone call, the pacing, the yelling, the stream chat begging Blueface to cut the feed. Eventually, Jaidyn Alexis convinced Chrisean Rock to put the knife down. Eventually, Chrisean Rock changed her clothes. Eventually, they attempted to leave the house to go to the baby shower that started this whole nightmare. And Blueface, ever the businessman, tried to end the stream on a professional note by asking the chat to hit the sub-goal one more time. As if 44,000 people had not just watched him betray Jaidyn Alexis, humiliate Chrisean Rock, and endanger 2 unborn children in the span of a single afternoon. As if any sub-goal in the history of streaming could paper over a knife standoff. As if the chat had not already made up its collective mind about what it just witnessed. And that is when I got to the part of the stream that made my whole system freeze. Because if you watch carefully, if you slow the footage down the way I slowed it down, you can see somebody else in the frame. Somebody who is not Blueface, not Jaidyn Alexis, not Chrisean Rock. Somebody who looks unmistakably like Chrisean Rock. Blueface other affiliate. The one nobody thought was going to be part of this story. And if that is who I think it is, then the ambush at the door was not just about Chrisean Rock arriving uninvited. The ambush was a coordinated operation. And the whole scene was engineered by more than one person to detonate on camera at exactly the moment it detonated. Which means we have to seriously ask ourselves whether any of this was as spontaneous as it looked, or whether we just watched a group of adults weaponize a live stream for reasons the rest of us are not yet clear to understand. Now, before I go further, I need to acknowledge something. Because the internet has been debating for the last 48 hours whether any of this was scripted. Whether Chrisean Rock and Blueface planned the entire confrontation as a marketing stunt for their upcoming reunion special. Whether Jaidyn Alexis was in on it. Whether the police call was staged. Whether the knife was real. And I am here to tell you, based on everything I have watched, based on everything I have documented, and based on the receipts that have been circulating across social media for the last 2 days, that this was not a bit. This was not a stunt. This was not a marketing rollout. This was the real thing. And the reason I know it was the real thing is because Blueface's reaction told on him. Blueface does not panic on camera. Blueface is one of the coolest customers in the entire livestream industry. But in this stream, Blueface was panicking. He was pacing. He was sweating. He was begging Chrisean Rock to put the knife down. He was begging Jaidyn Alexis to stay calm. He was begging the chat to sub up. He was begging the moderators to fix his lighting. He was doing everything except acting like a man who had planned any of this. Which tells me that whatever he had planned for that afternoon, this was not it. Whatever Blueface thought was going to happen when he opened that door, this was not the movie he had scripted in his head. Meanwhile, in the background of all this, there is a much more disturbing story unfolding. Because while Blueface, Chrisean Rock, and Jaidyn Alexis were staging this entire confrontation in front of 44,000 strangers, there was a baby somewhere in that house. Chrisean Rock's son, Christian Jr., the child at the center of the never-ending custody battle. The child whose location and safety have been the subject of speculation for months. And during the stream, Chrisean Rock was seen going back to grab him from a bed. On camera, during a knife standoff, with a live stream still rolling. Understand what that means. Understand what that says about the environment those children are being raised in. Understand what it means when your mother is picking you up mid-altercation with the mother of your father's other children while your father tries to negotiate a live stream sub-goal in the background. That child did not sign up for any of this. And yet that child is the one who has to live with the consequences of this footage existing on the internet forever. 15 years from now, Christian Jr. is going to type his own father's name into a search bar, and this stream is what is going to come up. Not a graduation, not a birthday. This. Let me pivot to Jaidyn Alexis for a moment, because I want to give her flowers, and I want to give them to her while she is still here to receive them. Jaidyn Alexis handled that situation with more grace, more composure, and more strategic clarity than any of us would have handled it. She could have swung. She had every right to swing. Instead, she stayed calm. She called the police. She protected her unborn child by refusing to escalate physically. She used her words. She used her phone. She used the leverage of the live stream itself to document every single detail of what was happening in real time. And when Chrisean Rock finally put the knife down, Jaidyn Alexis did not gloat. She did not celebrate. She did not do a victory lap. She simply told Chrisean Rock to get in the car and let them go to the baby shower they were supposed to be attending. Because Jaidyn Alexis understood something the rest of us are still catching up to. The moment you engage a chaos merchant on their own terms, you become part of the chaos. And Jaidyn Alexis refused to become part of the chaos. She refused to let Chrisean Rock drag her down to a level she had already outgrown. She refused to give the internet the fight it was thirsting for. That refusal is the reason her stock is up right now and Chrisean Rock's stock is in freefall. But do not think for a second that Jaidyn Alexis is going to let this slide. Because Jaidyn Alexis is not the type of woman who forgets. She is the type of woman who documents. She is the type of woman who saves screenshots, saves timestamps, saves audio, saves video, and files everything away in a folder that she opens only when the moment is right. And I promise you, that folder is thick right now. And when Jaidyn Alexis decides the moment is right to open that folder, Chrisean Rock and Blueface are going to wish this stream had never happened. Wish it. Because everything Jaidyn Alexis has been quietly saving for the last 2 years is about to become discovery in a courtroom. And there is not a single spin doctor on Blueface payroll who can undo what is coming. Now, let me talk about Blueface. Because Blueface is the person nobody is holding accountable in this situation, and it is time somebody said the quiet part out loud. Blueface is the one who orchestrated the entire environment that allowed this confrontation to happen. Blueface is the one who let Chrisean Rock into that house on the day Jaidyn Alexis was getting ready for a baby shower. Blueface is the one who tried to gaslight his pregnant fiancée into believing the person at the door was a mailman. Blueface is the one who kept the stream rolling instead of ending it the moment things got dangerous. Blueface is the one who chose sub-goals over the safety of the women in the room. And Blueface is the one whose behavior across this entire saga tells you everything you need to know about how he views the women in his life. He does not view them as partners. He views them as content. He views them as revenue. He views them as chess pieces in an infinite reality show that only he benefits from. And until Blueface faces real consequences for that behavior, this cycle is going to keep repeating itself, and we are going to keep watching new women fall into the same trap that Chrisean Rock and Jaidyn Alexis have been trapped in for years. New faces, same trap. Different names, same script. Buckle in tight, because the story goes further. Because in the hours after the stream ended, Chrisean Rock did what Chrisean Rock always does. She hopped on social media. She started posting. She started deleting. She started making claims. She said Blueface had assaulted her before the stream even started. She said her back was bruised. She posted photos of the alleged bruises. She claimed the whole situation was set up. She claimed Jaidyn Alexis had been coached to react a certain way. She claimed the police call was performative. And within 20 minutes, Blueface mother Carlisa was on the timeline responding to every single one of Chrisean Rock's posts with counterclaims of her own. Carlisa said the bruises were not from Blueface. Carlisa said Chrisean Rock had been the aggressor the whole time. Carlisa said Chrisean Rock had been trying to touch her son inappropriately at the arcade the week before. Carlisa said Chrisean Rock had documented proof of things she was not supposed to have documented proof of. And Carlisa said she had timestamps of her own. And if Chrisean Rock wanted to keep playing the receipts game, Carlisa was ready to drop a folder that would end Chrisean Rock's career overnight. Not damage it. End it. That is not commentary. That is a mother going to war for her son on the timeline. And it is one of the most escalated moments this saga has ever produced. Because when Carlisa gets involved, the gloves come off. Carlisa does not play. Carlisa has been in the ring with Chrisean Rock before, and Carlisa has receipts that predate the kick stream by years. If Carlisa opens that folder, Chrisean Rock is not surviving the fallout. And based on the pace at which Carlisa was posting after that stream ended, that folder is opening whether Chrisean Rock wants it to or not. And if half of what Carlisa has been hinting at over the last 24 hours turns out to be verifiable, We are looking at a story that is going to make the knife standoff look like a warm-up act. Meanwhile, Jaidyn Alexis stayed silent. She did not post. She did not respond. She did not defend herself. She did not attack anyone. She simply went to the baby shower. She took photos. She smiled. She looked incredible. And she let the internet do the work for her. Because Jaidyn Alexis understood that the best response to Chrisean Rock's meltdown was no response at all. Every moment Jaidyn Alexis spent not engaging was a moment Chrisean Rock spent digging her own grave deeper. And by the end of the weekend, the internet had rendered its verdict. The consensus was overwhelming. Jaidyn Alexis was the winner. Chrisean Rock was the loser. And Blueface was the villain who orchestrated the whole disaster. Every major commentary channel, every gossip page, every viral clip account, every Twitter thread reached the same conclusion within a matter of hours. And once the internet reaches a consensus that fast, the narrative is locked. It is not moving. It is not budging. Chrisean Rock can post whatever she wants for the next month, and it is not going to shift the verdict that was rendered before the baby shower even ended. Now here is the part where it spirals harder, because I have to talk about the moment that made even the most devoted Blueface loyalists turn on him. Because during the stream, at the height of the knife standoff, Blueface said the words that broke the internet in half. He said, "This is content." He said, "This is not that for me, but I understand it is content for you." He said, "We better cut to a quick commercial break." He said all of this while Chrisean Rock was holding a knife in his kitchen and Jaidyn Alexis was pregnant 3 feet away. And the internet heard him. The internet clipped it. The internet ran it back in slow motion. The internet drew its own conclusions. And the conclusion was unanimous. Blueface does not care about the women in his life. Blueface does not care about his children. Blueface does not care about anything except the monetization of chaos. And if that means putting 2 pregnant women in a room with a knife on a live stream, Blueface will do it, because Blueface knows the algorithm rewards escalation, and Blueface has built his entire brand on the algorithm's willingness to reward escalation. That is not conjecture. That is documented behavior across 5 years of public record. That is why this stream matters. This is not just another episode of the Blueface, Chrisean Rock, Jaidyn Alexis triangle. This is the moment the whole system of monetized chaos collapsed on itself in front of 44,000 witnesses. This is the moment Blueface accidentally showed his hand. This is the moment Chrisean Rock proved she is not the untouchable rebel her fans have been marketing her as for years. This is the moment Jaidyn Alexis proved she has been the smartest person in the room the whole time. And this is the moment the community that has been watching this saga for years finally got the clarity it has been waiting for. Every doubt, every argument, every debate about who was really at fault in the Blueface triangle got resolved in the span of one kick livestream. And once you resolve a debate that publicly, you cannot relitigate it, no matter how many follow-up streams the parties try to run. Let me tell you what happens next. Because I have been in this space long enough to know how these arcs play out. In the next 72 hours, Chrisean Rock is going to hop on live and try to reframe the entire story. She is going to say Blueface pushed her. She is going to say Jaidyn Alexis threatened her. She is going to say the knife was for cooking. She is going to say the tears were performance. She is going to say the whole stream was a setup. And a portion of her fan base is going to believe her, because that portion of her fan base has been trained to believe her no matter what the evidence says. But the majority of the internet is not going to believe her this time. Because this time, the receipts are too clean. The footage is too clear. The timing is too damning. And Jaidyn Alexis, in her silence, has already won the narrative. That silence is louder than any counterstream Chrisean Rock could possibly deliver. And every hour that passes without Jaidyn Alexis breaking that silence is another hour Chrisean Rock loses ground she cannot get back. Blueface, meanwhile, is going to try to pivot. He is going to hop on live and blame the chat. He is going to say the fans made the stream too messy. He is going to say the sub goal did not get hit. He is going to say he was trying to protect both women. He is going to say all of this while ignoring the fact that he was the one who set the whole environment up to combust. And the internet is going to see through it. Because the internet always sees through it eventually. It just takes time. And this time, the timeline of that seeing through is compressed, because Blueface excuses have gotten thinner with every cycle, and the audience has gotten better at pattern recognition with every rerun of this exact same script. And Jaidyn Alexis? Jaidyn Alexis is going to keep doing what she has always done. She is going to raise her children. She is going to protect her family. She is going to document every single move Blueface makes from this point forward. And when the moment is right, she is going to file the paperwork that ends this era of chaos once and for all. Because Jaidyn Alexis understood something the rest of us are still learning. The best revenge is not revenge. The best revenge is documentation. And Jaidyn Alexis has more documentation than anyone in this triangle. She is the archivist. She is the witness. She is the one holding the folder that decides how the next chapter of this story gets written. Every time Blueface picks up a camera, Jaidyn Alexis picks up a screenshot. Every time Chrisean Rock hops on live, Jaidyn Alexis hits record. That is not paranoia. That is preparation. And the difference between the two is going to become very obvious very soon. Before I close this out, I need to say something to the audience directly, because I have been getting messages all weekend from viewers asking me what they should think about all of this. And I am going to be honest with you. I do not have a clean answer, because everyone in this triangle has done things they need to answer for. Blueface has treated the women in his life like assets in a portfolio. Chrisean Rock has escalated situations that never needed to escalate. Jaidyn Alexis, for all her composure, has stayed in an environment that has consistently put her and her children in danger. And the children whose faces are all over the internet through no fault of their own, are the ones who are going to grow up watching this footage back one day and asking why their parents allowed any of it to happen on camera. There is no version of this saga in which the children come out unharmed by the exposure. There is only the version in which we, as an audience, decide when enough is enough and stop rewarding this cycle with our clicks. That is the part nobody is talking about. That is the part one needs you to sit with. Because we can debate who won and who lost this round of the Blueface saga all we want. But the real losers are the kids. And until the adults in this triangle decide the kids matter more than the algorithm, the kids are going to keep losing. Round after round. Stream after stream. Baby shower after baby shower. Until one of these confrontations produces a headline none of us wanted to read. Now, I want to know your thoughts, because I know a lot of you have opinions and I want to hear them all. Do you think the confrontation was scripted? Do you think Chrisean Rock genuinely lost control? Or do you think she planned every second of that meltdown for the cameras? Do you think Jaidyn Alexis handled it the right way? Or do you think she should have swung? Do you think Blueface should face consequences beyond the internet backlash he is already dealing with? Do you think Carlisa is about to drop the folder that ends the whole thing? And do you think Christian Jr. is being raised in an environment safe enough for a child to grow up in? Let me know down below. Drop your take. Drop your receipts. Drop your predictions. And do not be shy, because I read every single one of the comments and I use them to shape the next report. Because this is not just a story. This is a community. And this community is the reason we can hold people like Blueface accountable in the first place. Your voice in the comments becomes the pressure that shifts the culture. Your engagement becomes the evidence that keeps this triangle from disappearing back into the shadows once the news cycle moves on. Before you scroll, do me one favor. Because we still have not talked about the Carlisa folder. We still have not talked about the alleged voodoo situation. We still have not talked about the ongoing custody paperwork that has been circulating in the courts for months. We still have not talked about the alleged assault allegations that Chrisean Rock has been quietly filing behind the scenes. And we still have not talked about what happens if Blueface catches another case before this trial cycle is over. All of that is coming. All of that is on my desk right now. And all of that is going to be broken down in the next full report waiting for you at the end of this video. So do not click away. Do not scroll past. Head to the next report I have queued up, because the moment you finish this one, the next one picks up exactly where this one leaves off. And trust me, family, you are not going to want to miss what I found in the receipts folder. It is the kind of thing that changes everything. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And I am going to walk you through every single frame of it, in the same forensic detail I brought you today, because you deserve nothing less than the full picture. Because at the end of the day, this is what happens when the algorithm rewards chaos more than it rewards accountability. This is what happens when a rapper decides his fiancé and his ex-girlfriend are content instead of people. This is what happens when a mother of two picks up a knife on livestream and nobody around her is grounded enough to stop the moment before it becomes a permanent scar on the internet. This is what happens when we, the audience, keep clicking, keep watching, keep engaging, and keep rewarding the very behavior we claim to be exhausted by. This is what happens. Every single time. Predictable as sunrise. And unless the pattern breaks somewhere, everyone in this triangle is going to end up in a headline none of us are going to enjoy reading. The confrontation is over. The knife is down. The baby shower is over. The live stream is archived. Blueface is trying to pivot. Chrisean Rock is trying to rewrite. Jaidyn Alexis is trying to move on. Carlisa is loading the folder. And the children in the middle of all of this are waiting for the adults to remember they exist. And until that happens, we are going to keep watching, keep documenting, keep reporting, and keep asking the question nobody in this triangle has been willing to answer honestly. When do the games end? When do the children come first? When does Blueface stop treating the women in his life like content and start treating them like the mothers of his children? When does Chrisean Rock stop picking up weapons on livestream and start picking up therapy? When does Jaidyn Alexis get to breathe? When does this cycle finally break? And who has to get hurt for it to break? Because based on the trajectory of the last 48 hours, somebody is going to end up hurt, and I am not willing to pretend otherwise just because it makes for cleaner commentary. The next report has the answers. It is waiting for you right now. Head there when you finish this one. Because the story does not end here. The story is just starting to unravel. And I am going to be the one who unravels it with you, frame by frame, receipt by receipt, until the whole thing is exposed for what it always was. A cycle of monetized chaos that turned 2 young mothers into cast members and 1 rapper into a producer who forgot he was also a father. See you in the next one, family. Do not click away. The receipts are loading. The folder is opening. And the real story is only just now beginning to see daylight.